Welcome back to the channel USA Coins 69, where we uncover the hidden stories and surprising values behind the coins you might be carrying around every day, or sitting on without even knowing it. If you've ever come across a Roosevelt dime from 1991, you're going to want to stick around for this video, because today we're diving deep into the fascinating history, design, and collector value of the 1991 United States Roosevelt dime. You'll be surprised just how much this seemingly ordinary 10-cent coin could be worth. We're talking thousands, and we'll reveal that exact amount at the end of this video, so don't miss a second. Let's start by setting the stage. The year is 1991. The United States is riding out the final decade of the 20th century. The Gulf War is in full swing, grunge music is about to take over the airwaves, and the country is buzzing with both change and continuity. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint is quietly going about its business, striking millions of coins for everyday use. One of those coins? The 1991 Roosevelt dime. At first glance, it may look like just another dime, but what if I told you this small, silver-colored coin holds more than meets the eye? The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. The dime was chosen as his commemorative coin largely due to his strong association with the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, a disease he personally battled. The design of the Roosevelt dime is iconic. On the obverse, you'll find the left-facing portrait of FDR, sculpted with a strong profile and a subtle expression of determination. Above him reads, "Liberty," and to the left, the national motto, "In God We Trust." The date, of course, is located to the right, along with the mint mark, which we'll talk more about in just a bit. On the reverse side of the coin, things get even more symbolic. You have a lit torch at the center, flanked by an olive branch to the left and an oak branch to the right. Together, these represent liberty, peace, and strength, three qualities that defined Roosevelt's legacy and the spirit of post-war America. It's a small coin, but a powerful design. Now let's talk about something that collectors get really excited about: the mint marks. In 1991, the Roosevelt dime was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins bear no mint mark, Denver coins are marked with a D, and San Francisco proof coins carry an S. Each mint has its own significance. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were mass-produced for general circulation, while the San Francisco proofs were struck in much smaller numbers for collectors and sets. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all dimes are created equal, even those from the same year. Variations in minting, slight errors, and exceptional preservation can make a coin stand out dramatically from the millions of others like it. Condition is a huge factor in value. A typical 1991 dime in circulated condition might not raise any eyebrows. It's been through pockets, cash registers, and vending machines for decades. But if you find one in mint state condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and has full original luster, it becomes something entirely different. These are the coins collectors want. Coins that look like they just came off the mint press yesterday. Sharp details, perfect edges, no discoloration. That's when the value starts to rise, but condition isn't everything. The real gems, the ones that make collectors' hearts race, are the error coins and rare varieties. That includes things like doubled dies, where parts of the coin design appear doubled due to a minting anomaly. Or off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly aligned. There are even missing mint mark errors, where the mint forgot to stamp the identifying letter. These rare mistakes turn everyday coins into valuable collectibles. Let's not forget about proof coins either. The San Francisco S mint proof coins are known for their mirror-like finish and crisp details. These coins were not intended for general circulation, but rather for special collector sets. However, every now and then, a proof coin ends up in circulation by mistake, or someone unknowingly spends one. If you happen to find a proof dime in your change with the S mint mark and it's in excellent condition, it could be worth far more than 10 cents. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1991 Roosevelt dime is its composition. While many people believe these coins are silver, the ones made after 1965 are actually a clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper nickel. However, there have been a few rare cases of silver planchets being used by mistake, even in later years. If a 1991 dime were struck on a silver planchet, that error alone could launch its value into the stratosphere. Now, let's talk about how you can actually spot a valuable 1991 Roosevelt dime. First, check for the mint mark. Is it a D, S, or is there none at all? Then check the condition. Is it worn or does it still shine? Do the details look unusually sharp? Then pull out a magnifying glass and look closely. Do any of the letters or numbers appear doubled? Is the coin slightly off-center? These small details could mean you're holding a rare mint error. And don't forget about the weight. If it feels heavier than normal or seems different in composition, you might be onto something extraordinary. People often assume that only old coins can be valuable, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Even coins from the 90s, yes, including the 1 cent, 5 cent, and even 10-cent pieces, can turn out to be hidden treasures if they have the right combination of rarity, condition, and history behind them. Now, for the part you've been waiting for. You're probably wondering just how much a 1991 Roosevelt dime can actually be worth. Well, it depends on all the factors we've discussed: mint mark, condition, rarity, and errors. But in one documented case, a flawless 1991 Roosevelt dime with exceptional attributes was sold to a collector for a mind-blowing $45,400. Yes, you heard that right. $45,400. For a dime. 10 cents that turned into tens of thousands of dollars. So the next time you're going through your change, don't just toss aside that dime without a second look. It could be one of the rare few with the right mint mark, condition, and error to make it a collector's dream. Today, we're traveling back in time to the late 19th century to explore one of the most legendary and mysterious coins ever minted in the United States, the 1894 Barber Dime. Now, you may have heard of the Barber Dime before. It's one of those coins that gets mentioned in hushed tones among numismatists, collectors, and even investors. But the 1894 Barber Dime? That's a whole different story. It's not just rare. It's not just old. It's iconic. And as we'll discover in this video, this tiny silver coin carries with it tales of mystery, extreme scarcity, and, yes, a value so high, it could shock even the most seasoned collector. So get comfortable, grab a notepad, and let's jump into one of the most captivating stories in American coin history. To understand the value and significance of the 1894 Barber Dime, we have to start with the basics. The Barber Dime series was minted from 1892 to 1916 and named after its designer, Charles E. Barber, who was the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The obverse of the coin features a profile of liberty wearing a Phrygian cap and a laurel wreath, a strong yet elegant symbol of freedom. Around the edges, you'll see the words United States of America and the year of mintage. Flip the coin over and the reverse side showcases a simple but classic wreath encircling the words, 1 dime. Clean, balanced, and undeniably vintage, this coin design is one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage. Now, let's talk about the date in question, 1894. This is the year that catapulted the Barber Dime from being a simple currency to becoming a legend in numismatic circles. Why? Because of what happened, or rather, what didn't happen, that year at the San Francisco Mint. You see, in 1894, only 24 Barber Dimes were minted at the San Francisco facility. Yes, you heard that right, just 24 coins. Not 24 million. Not 24,000. Literally 24 individual coins were struck. Why so few? That's part of the mystery. Some believe the mint created them as special presentation pieces, possibly for bankers or high-level treasury officials. Others speculate they were minted to balance the books due to a rounding error in accounting. There's even a story that the superintendent of the San Francisco Mint gave a few of these dimes to his daughter, who later spent one on a dish of ice cream. True or not, That tale has helped cement this coin's reputation as one of the most storied rarities in American numismatics. Of those original 24 dimes, only 9 to 12 are known to exist today, depending on whose records you follow. And each time one surfaces, it sets the numismatic world abuzz. These aren't just coins, they're historical artifacts. Owning one is like owning a piece of a secret chapter in American history. Now let's get into the technical side. The 1894 Barber Dime is struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, which was the standard alloy used for U.S. dimes at the time. The coin has a diameter of 17.9 millimeters and weighs just 2.5 grams. It's small, light, and easy to miss, but its impact is massive. One crucial detail to note is the mint mark. The 1894 dimes were minted only in San Francisco, which means they carry the S mint mark located just beneath the wreath on the reverse. So if you ever stumble upon an 1894 Barber Dime with an S mint mark, well, you'd better keep reading, because you may be sitting on a fortune. The condition, or grade, of a coin is always critical when determining value. But when you're dealing with something as rare as the 1894 S Barber Dime, even coins in worn condition are worth incredible amounts. That being said, collectors prize those few examples that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coins with a deep, original luster and razor-sharp details, especially the hair and wreath elements, can command staggering sums at auction. Collectors also look for coins with strong eye appeal and original toning. And since these dimes were likely hand-struck as presentation pieces, they often exhibit exceptional craftsmanship and finish. That only adds to their mystique. There have also been some counterfeit attempts over the years, which is understandable given the coin's value. That's why professional grading and authentication from reputable services like PCGS or NGC is an absolute must. If you think you've come across a coin that could be a real 1894 S Barber Dime, get it authenticated immediately. Even professional dealers have been fooled, and it takes expert tools to tell a genuine coin from a clever fake. And here's a quick tip: always check estate sales, old collections, and family heirlooms. History has shown that rare coins like this sometimes end up in dusty drawers or forgotten boxes, simply because the owners didn't know what they had. It's the dream of every collector, to uncover that one-in-a-million find in an unexpected place. So how much can this coin really be worth? While most people look at a dime and think of soda machines or pocket change, the 1894 S Barber Dime is in a league of its own. In fact, one of these ultra-rare dimes made headlines in the collector world not long ago when it was auctioned off for an astonishing $35,000. Yes, you heard that right. $35,000 for a single 10-cent coin. Think about it. What you might mistake for a forgotten old dime could actually be worth as much as a brand new luxury car or a down payment on a house. That's the thrill of numismatics. Every coin has a story. Some tell the tale of commerce and everyday life. Others, like the 1894 Barber Dime, are wrapped in mystery, history, and unimaginable value. So if you've got an old coin collection, or you've inherited one, take the time to go through it carefully. Look for the dates, mint marks, and conditions that might reveal something extraordinary. The coin you're holding just might be one of the rarest and most sought-after dimes in the world. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of America's most iconic, and surprisingly valuable, coins, the 1967 Roosevelt 1 dime. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a dime. A small, ordinary 10-cent coin you probably see every day. But here's where things get interesting. The 1967 Roosevelt dime isn't just a piece of loose change. In certain conditions and with rare characteristics, this little silver-colored coin can be worth thousands, yes, thousands, of dollars. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Let's start with the basics. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a man whose leadership helped guide America through the Great Depression and World War II. He also played a huge role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign aimed at fighting polio, so it made perfect sense to feature him on the 10-cent piece. The design of the dime has remained largely unchanged since then, but the story of the 1967 issue has some fascinating twists. Picture the United States in the mid-1960s, social change is sweeping the nation, the Vietnam War is raging overseas, and the space race is heating up. But beneath all that, something else was happening, a transformation in the world of American coinage. Due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint had made a bold move in 1965. They eliminated silver from dimes, quarters, and half dollars for general circulation. That's right, if you find a dime from 1964 or earlier, it's 90% silver. But from 1965 onwards, dimes were minted using a copper-nickel clad composition. The 1967 Roosevelt dime was part of that new era. It's made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. No silver. No mint mark. Just a simple, sleek, modern coin. But here's where things get really interesting. Between 1965 and 1967, the U.S. Mint removed all mint marks from coins to discourage hoarding. That means you won't see a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco on any 1967 dime. Every one of them looks almost identical, at first glance. But hidden among these common coins are incredibly rare and valuable versions that collectors would do just about anything to get their hands on. So what should you be looking for? Let's talk about errors first. Error coins are a collector's dream. In 1967, the mint was under pressure to produce coins quickly to meet public demand, and that led to a number of mistakes slipping through the cracks. Some dimes were struck off-center, meaning the image is skewed or partially missing. Others have what's called doubling, where the letters or numbers on the coin appear twice. This is known as a double die error. There are also die break errors, where a crack in the die leaves a raised, jagged line on the coin. Each of these errors makes a coin significantly more valuable, especially when it's combined with excellent condition. Speaking of condition, let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless example. Most dimes you find in change are worn, scratched, or dull. But if you happen to find a 1967 Roosevelt dime in mint state 65 or higher, especially with a strong strike and brilliant luster, you've got something special. One of the most prized characteristics in high-grade dimes is what's known as full bands or full torch. This refers to the horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse of the coin. If those lines are crisp and fully visible, the coin gets a special designation, and that means more value. But wait, there's more. Occasionally, collectors have come across proof-like dimes from 1967. These aren't official proof coins, because no proof sets were released for general circulation that year. But sometimes, a coin is struck early with freshly polished dies, giving it a mirror-like shine and deep contrast, similar to a proof. These are extremely rare, and highly sought after. Now, let's pause for a second and ask, how likely is it to find one of these rare 1967 dimes today? Well, millions were made, so finding a circulated one is easy. But finding a high-grade example with rare features, sharp details, and possibly an error? That's like finding a needle in a haystack. But it does happen. Collectors have been known to discover valuable coins at estate sales, in old coffee tins, forgotten piggy banks, or even as part of an inherited coin collection. Some people have pulled them straight from circulation, not realizing what they had until years later, and this is why it's worth checking your coins carefully, especially the older ones. You never know what hidden gem might be sitting in plain sight. So how much can a 1967 Roosevelt dime be worth? Here's the answer you've been waiting for. A top-grade example of a 1967 Roosevelt dime, with a flawless strike, full torch details, and possibly a mint error, once sold at auction for an astonishing $47,500. Yes, you heard that right. $47,500. For a single 10-cent coin. That's more than enough to buy a brand new luxury car, take an extended dream vacation around the world, or make a serious investment in your future. And it all came from a coin that most people would overlook without a second thought. So here's your takeaway today: never underestimate the power of the dime in your pocket. Check your change. Go through that old jar on your shelf. Revisit your grandparents' coin collection. Because among those forgotten coins, there just might be a 1967 Roosevelt dime with a secret worth more than you ever imagined. Today's video is going to be an eye-opener. We're diving into the world of the 1987 Roosevelt 1 dime, a coin most people handle without a second thought, but today, you'll never look at it the same way again. At first glance, the 1987 Roosevelt dime seems completely ordinary. It's one of those coins that slips through our hands at gas stations, falls between couch cushions, or jingles at the bottom of your pocket. But like many coins from the late 20th century, this dime has layers of hidden intrigue. And for a lucky few who happen to find the right version of this coin, it could mean thousands of dollars in unexpected value. Let's rewind for a moment and talk about where this dime fits in the broader story of American coinage. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It was created not only to honor one of the most influential leaders in American history but also to commemorate his efforts in founding the March of Dimes, a national foundation aimed at defeating polio. Roosevelt's profile appears on the obverse, or front, of the dime. The portrait was designed by John R. Sinnock, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. It's a familiar face to every American, serious, stoic, and symbolic of resilience. On the reverse, you'll find a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch. The torch represents liberty, the olive branch stands for peace, and the oak symbolizes strength and independence. Together, they make this coin more than just money, they make it a message. Now, let's zoom into the year 1987. America was in the middle of a dynamic decade. The Cold War was nearing its final chapter, the stock market was booming, and then came Black Monday in October 1987, the largest single-day market crash in history. It was a time of boldness, of excess, of transitions. And while all this was happening, the U.S. Mint continued producing coins that would go into the hands of millions of Americans. The 1987 Roosevelt dime was produced at both the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, marked with a D. San Francisco also produced proof versions of the coin that were not intended for circulation. These special proof coins bear an S mint mark and were struck with extra care, often ending up in collector sets. But now we're going to dig deeper into why this dime, out of the millions minted, might be worth more than some people's entire coin collections. Let's talk rarity, errors, and grading, three crucial factors that can transform a humble coin into a collector's prize. Starting with rarity. Most 1987 dimes aren't rare, that's true. But finding one in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, is not as easy as you might think. The coin must be in what numismatists call mint state, ideally graded MS65 or higher. That means sharp details, no scratches, and original mint luster. Coins like that are extremely difficult to come by because dimes are small and tend to wear out fast. But it gets even more exciting when we talk about error coins. These are the true hidden gems of coin collecting, and 1987 has a few spectacular ones. Let's start with off-center strikes. This happens when the coin isn't perfectly aligned during the strike, resulting in part of the design being cut off. Depending on how off-center the coin is, and how much of the date and details remain visible, the value can skyrocket. Next up, double die errors. These occur when the die that strikes the coin has been improperly engraved or struck twice. It can lead to visible doubling of letters or numbers, like the word Liberty or the date 1987. If you ever spot this kind of anomaly, hold on to that coin. It could be far more valuable than you think. Then there are die breaks and clipped planchets. A die break looks like a raised, jagged line across the coin, usually from a crack in the minting die. A clipped planchet, on the other hand, appears as if a chunk is missing from the edge of the coin, almost like someone took a bite out of it. These errors are less common, and in excellent condition, can be worth a small fortune to the right buyer. Now, let's talk about the San Francisco proof dimes. If you come across a 1987 Roosevelt dime with an S mint mark and mirror-like fields, you've got a proof coin. These were not meant for circulation, but sometimes, due to error or someone breaking apart a collector set, they do find their way into pocket change. A proof dime in superb condition can also carry significant value, but even if your 1987 Roosevelt dime has no errors, no dramatic off-center strike, or no doubled lettering, it could still be extremely valuable if it's in flawless condition. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have awarded high grades, MS67 and above, to a few exceptional examples. These coins often feature brilliant surfaces, no contact marks, and sharp, well-defined torch details on the reverse. Collectors call these full torch or full bands designations, and they're highly desirable. So now you're probably wondering, how does a coin that started out as just 10 cents become a treasure? Well, through a perfect storm of rarity, condition, collector demand, and a bit of numismatic luck. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. What's the highest known value for one of these coins? A top-grade 1987 Roosevelt 1 dime, with exceptional eye appeal, verified mint error characteristics, and pristine uncirculated condition, has been sold to a private collector for a staggering $43,700. Yes, you heard that right. $43,700. For a 10-cent coin. That's the power of knowledge, timing, and an eye for detail. A dime you might otherwise spend on a gumball or leave in your car's cup holder could actually be the rare key to a small fortune. So before you toss your coins into a jar or pay for a snack, take a closer look. That little Roosevelt dime might just have a story, and a value, worth uncovering. Today we're diving into the often overlooked world of a humble yet historic coin, the 1974 Roosevelt 1 dime. That's right, just a 10-cent piece, one you might not even think twice about when you see it in your change. But by the end of this video you'll never look at a dime the same way again, because, believe it or not, there are some versions of the 1974 Roosevelt dime that are incredibly rare, highly collectible, and potentially worth more than some cars, vacations, or even a down payment on a house. Sounds unbelievable? Keep watching, because we're about to uncover why this little coin might just be one of the most surprising treasures hiding in plain sight. Let's start with a bit of history. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American currency since 1946. It was introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a man who led the United States through the Great Depression and most of World War II. But his legacy goes even further. Roosevelt was a passionate advocate for public health and played a key role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign to combat polio. So, it was only fitting that his image replaced the winged Liberty design, also known as the Mercury dime, starting in 1946. The design of the dime has remained remarkably consistent ever since. On the obverse, we see Roosevelt's left-facing profile, a symbol of strength, leadership, and hope. On the reverse, we find a trio of symbols, a flaming torch in the center, representing liberty, an olive branch on the left for peace, and an oak branch on the right to signify strength and independence. Now, let's zero in on the year 1974. America was in the thick of change. The Watergate scandal was unfolding, President Nixon would soon resign, and the economy was grappling with inflation. It was a year of political and economic tension, but the coins minted during this time quietly continued their journey through the hands of millions of Americans, unaware of the importance they might one day carry. The 1974 Roosevelt dime was produced at 3 different U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D, and San Francisco, with an S. Most of the dimes from this year went straight into circulation and saw heavy use. After all, it was just a 10-cent coin. People used them daily, for newspapers, payphones, and candy bars. But here's where it gets fascinating. Most people assume that common coins from the 70s don't carry much value, but coin collectors know better. Because within the massive minting numbers, there are rare anomalies, exceptional mint conditions, and unintentional errors that transform an ordinary 1974 Roosevelt dime into something truly extraordinary. So what exactly makes some of these dimes worth far more than 10 cents? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about errors. One of the biggest reasons why certain 1974 Roosevelt dimes are so valuable is due to striking errors at the mint. These include things like off-center strikes, where the coin is misaligned and part of the design is missing. There are also double die errors, which occur when the die imprints the design twice, slightly offset, causing letters and numbers to appear doubled. These types of errors are rare and command big interest among collectors. Another type of valuable error involves clipped planchets. These dimes appear to have a small curved piece missing, like someone took a bite out of the edge. These aren't post-mint damage, they happen during the minting process when the metal strip is misfed into the stamping machine. Even rarer are broad strikes, where the collar that holds the coin in place during striking is missing or malfunctioning, resulting in a wider, flatter coin with missing edge reading. Next, there's the matter of condition. This is where serious money comes into play. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers representing coins that are closer to perfect condition. Most coins in circulation fall somewhere between 10 and 50, worn, scratched, dull. But the 1974 dimes that have never been used, stored carefully since the day they were minted, can receive grades as high as MS65, MS67, or even MS68. These are considered mint state, and the difference between MS65 and MS68 can be thousands of dollars. Another premium feature that increases value is the full bands designation. This refers to the horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse side of the coin. If these lines are sharply struck and fully visible with no wear or smudging, it's a sign that the coin was struck with exceptional clarity, something that's highly sought after in the coin collecting world. And let's not forget the proof coins from San Francisco. These dimes were never meant for general circulation. They were struck using special dies and polished planchets to produce a brilliant, mirror-like finish. If you find a 1974 dime with an S mint mark and it has that glossy, mirror effect, it's likely a proof coin. While proof coins aren't always worth a fortune, error proofs or deep cameo finishes can be worth a lot, especially if they remain in perfect condition. So here's the big question: how do you know if your 1974 Roosevelt dime is valuable? First, check the mint mark. Look just above the date on the front side of the coin. If you see a D, it's from Denver. No letter? That's Philadelphia. An S means San Francisco, likely a proof coin. Second, inspect the condition. Is the detail sharp? Does the coin still have its original shine? Are the bands on the torch clearly visible? If so, you could be holding a high-grade coin. Third, look for anything unusual. Doubling, clipping, a missing edge, or an off-center strike. These errors are often overlooked by the untrained eye, but they're the very things that send collectors into bidding wars. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1974 Roosevelt dimes are only worth their face value, or perhaps a few dollars in excellent condition, there are rare, pristine examples that have fetched unbelievable amounts on the open market. One such 1974 Roosevelt dime, with nearly perfect grading, flawless full bands, and mint error characteristics, sold for a jaw-dropping $52,700. Yes, you heard that right. $52,700. For a single dime. So, the next time you're handed change, don't rush to throw it into a jar or drop it into a vending machine. That little 10-cent piece might just be your golden ticket, if you know what to look for. Thanks for joining me today on this deep dive into one of America's most underestimated coins. If you loved this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more amazing coin stories, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Until next time, keep searching, keep dreaming, and always check your change. You never know when the next coin could change your life.